Welcome to part 2 of a pagan perspective on Israel. This video is dedicated to the three main reasons why I support Israel and debunking everything that is going to get thrown my way in the comments. Grab some coffee because this is going to be a long video. It is also cool if you disagree with my thoughts because America still supports freedom of speech. You can be the worst person on the planet, and I wouldn't care, because you somehow managed to click on this video. I appreciate your click, regardless of your politics. I do not care if you love Israel, hate Israel, or are neutral on this topic. I have heard every argument under the sun for why I should be against Israel over the course of my entire life, but I am not. I am not like most people. I am an outsider that was forced to take a side. But you do you. I view Israel as being my tank against all the religious zealots. Israel holds aggro against all the religious zealots that want me to be eradicated. Israel is a light. What happens when you turn the light on at night? The bugs become mesmerized by the light. What happens when the light goes out? The bugs go back to doing what they were doing before, except you can't see them very well because it is dark out. Israel serves a major purpose for me as a pagan. This is the main reason why I support it. There are many pagans that will disagree with me, and that is perfectly fine. I do not view the world like everybody else does. But I would rather have the bugs out in the open where I can see them and have them focused on something that isn't me. The second reason why I support Israel is because they are the least bad option for me. Most people that oppose Israel are not opposing Israel for its actions in the region. They are opposing Israel because they want control of the Holy Land for themselves. Everybody has ulterior motives when it comes to the Middle East. The Muslims want the Jews gone, and the Christians want the Holy Land. The Jews are waiting for the day when most of the earth gets wiped out. But guess what? I don't care about the Holy Land or who controls it. I am a pagan. I have no skin in the game. The people that took over Western pagan holy sites were not the Jewish people. They were Catholic Christians and Christians in general. I view Israel's actions in the Middle East as not being that different from the actions of radical Islamic groups in the Middle East. Will Israel always be in control of the Middle East? No. Nobody reigns forever. Israel will be replaced by somebody else in the future, because that is how the world works. They could be replaced by Turkey, Iran, or Saudi Arabia. They could even be replaced by somebody else that comes out of left field. I don't know everything that is going to happen in the future. But in the present, Israel being in control of the Middle East is much more tolerable to me than Islamic religious zealots with nukes running the show. If you are European, then this should be concerning to you as well. The same zealots that have been trying to conquer the Western world, Africa, and Asia for the past 1,000 years. Again, Israel is the least bad option for me, despite the holier-than-thou attitude that most Jews have. It is what it is. The third reason why I support Israel is because I have no animosity towards the Jewish people. I have no animosity towards Israel in general. I am a pagan. Pagans won a long time ago. Has nobody read the Bible? We won. So there's no reason to be angry. It's like how the Vietnamese beat the US. So the Vietnamese don't have animosity towards the US. Vietnam has turned into one of America's most important strategic partners in Southeast Asia. Not to mention, all three Abrahamic faiths are in the broom closet. They haven't come out of the broom closet yet, and I hope to see the day that they will. Because all three major Abrahamic faiths are pagan. And I obviously have nothing against pagans. But being in denial about this subject or topic is what I dislike, because it is disrespectful. But I am going to make another video on this topic in the future. There will be many people that listen to this video and get upset. So I am now going to debunk everything that is going to get thrown my way in the comments section. This is currently everything that I can think of. So if you are going to attack me in the comments, then try to come up with something original. Entertain me. The first thing that will likely get brought up is the USS Liberty. What about the USS Liberty? It was a tragic event. But do you know what happens when you put on a military uniform anywhere in the world? Or you do something that the world views as being out of balance. There is an invisible timer that starts to count down. When this timer hits 0, then karma catches up to you. Some people get lucky, and this timer never runs out for them. However, some people are not lucky. Some people have their timer reach 0. Obviously, I have respect for the men and women in uniform. I have family members that were in the military. I know people that are in the military. But you know what? Most people that bring up the USS Liberty are Democrats. I made a Pearl Harbor video a couple months ago. My grandfather almost got intentionally deleted because of the Democrats. Where's the outrage? I am not supposed to be upset over my grandfather almost getting deleted, but I am supposed to feel upset over the USS Liberty, a literal spy ship, Crimea River. The risk of something happening to you drastically increases the moment you put on a uniform. Whether it's a military or police uniform doesn't matter. This is why I have respect for people in uniform, but the people that work in these fields are aware of this risk. They willingly chose to take this risk, and they should be respected for that, not dragged through the mud to win political debates. Because that is what I have noticed over the years. The people that bring up this topic do not actually care about the people on the USS Liberty. They just bring it up to win brownie points. But I find this to be disrespectful. The second thing that is going to be brought up will be from far-right pagans that want white ethno-states in Europe. You guys do realize that there are already white ethno-states in Europe, right? It's called Eastern Europe. And all the Eastern European states are dirt poor. So is this really what you want? You want to replicate Eastern Europe in Western Europe. You want to import the Catholic and Orthodox Christian poverty into the West. Because that sounds like a bad idea to me. This discussion will eventually lead into the Jewish people being colonizers, but so are the Christians. Islam is also a colonizing religion. And what exactly are you doing to get all the colonizers out of our ancestral homelands? Yeah, you are doing nothing. You are doing absolutely nothing. So who cares which of the colonizing religions dominates? Pick one of the colonizing Abrahamic religions to support, grab some popcorn, put on some shades, and be entertained by the hatred they all have for each other. Because pagans aren't getting our ancestral homelands back. We just don't have the numbers. So why do I side with Israel on this matter? Because Israel isn't telling me that I will be going to hell. Israel is not trying to convert me to Judaism. Israel is not singling me out for being a pagan. And most Jewish people will leave you alone if you leave them alone. But most Christians and Muslims don't know how to stay in their own lane. In other words, Jews know how to stay in their own lane, and I like that. The next matter that will be brought up is that I am a shill for Israel. I have been called this several times over the past year. However, I am not a shill for Israel. I want Israel to stay in the Middle East. I have no issue with Israel doing what it wants so long as it stays in the Middle East. I do have issues with all the Jewish influence in the US because it is the US and not Israel. And I grew up in Syracuse, New York. I grew up around Jewish people and diversity in general. I have seen the good, the bad, and the very freaking ugly from the Jewish community. This is why I do not support all the Jewish people. This is why I support individuals over the collective and have no problem calling out any BS that I see. I just don't have a problem with Israel existing, and I do not have a problem with decent Jewish people. If you are an Israeli activist that publicly states that all white babies must be deleted, then I am going to have an issue with that. Because I am a white guy. If I have any kids in the future, then they will be at least part white. So, I am going to have an issue with somebody that is calling for all white babies to be deleted. That is the type of mentality that I hate with a passion. But if you are a decent Jewish person that is mentally sane, then I have no issue with you. In fact, I wish there were more of you. So I am not a shill. I do not make any money off this YouTube channel. In fact, I do not make any money off any of my YouTube channels. I am not getting paid to make these videos. I wish I was getting paid to make videos though. Somebody want to sponsor me? The next issue that will get brought up is that the Jewish people are taking over everything, which is funny since Christians control everything in the West. So if the Jewish people are taking over everything, then I guess that is a skill issue on your end. There is a gaming term for this situation. It's called get good. Maybe things would be different if conservative Christians and right-wing pagans advocated for their kids going to college. But most of them don't. How do you expect to play and win the game when you are actively avoiding it? If you want to win the game, then you need to play the game. You need to play by the existing rules. But most of them don't want to do that. And you lose 100% of the matches that you don't play. Do you think I enjoyed going to college? Do you think I wanted to go to college? I got all my education because I wanted to start my own business in a field that is heavily dominated by feminists and progressives. I went to college, kept my head down, told the professors what they wanted to hear, dealt with all the progressive BS, and got my degrees. Now I can do whatever the hell I want, have access to an online academic library 24/7 for the rest of my life, and get free Microsoft Office. And due to Trump's new student loan plan, I am not worried about my debt situation, especially since I am frugal and can get most of my entertainment for free. Not to mention, you can go to college under Trump's new plan, take out debt, and use that debt to keep your other student loan debt from snowballing. At worst, you end up unemployed after college and pay a $10 monthly fee to keep your student loan debt from increasing. At best, you have a job and you can pay off your debt with the money you make from that job. I call this winning. But people still complain about spending $120 a year to keep your credit score from taking a hit. People with credit card debt don't even have this option. I support Judaism because it is the most tolerable of the three major Abrahamic faiths. I don't know what else to say. Am I against Christianity and Islam? The answer to that is no. My issue is with religious zealots, but I am used to Jewish religious zealots. They are paper tigers, while Christian and Muslim religious zealots have fangs. I would rather support the paper tigers over the people with fangs. Also, I don't know what people expect me to do. I have zero political power. I cannot do anything in the political sphere. There is nobody that represents me anywhere in a position of power in this country that I am currently aware of. And most of the Republican options in my city and state are problematic half the freaking time. I have Christians in my state actively trying to ban non Christians from government positions. And I am open about being a moderate right wing pagan. I do not leave my house without my hammer around my neck. There are Christians that want to ban interracial marriages, and I am against this type of mentality. I am against Christians forcing people to go to church. I am against Christians that want to ban adult content because they lack self-discipline. I am against slavery, and that is something a lot of modern Christians support for some reason. And something that I don't talk about at all is that I oppose black markets. I would rather everything be out in the open and regulated. I do not want everything to go underground because that causes a lot of problems. Black markets are what you get with Christianity, Islam, and China. But if everything is going to be forced underground, then I would rather be friends with the people running the black markets. Let's be honest about it. I just want to be left alone. I want to be able to venerate Odin, Thor, Hestia, and Inari without people telling me that I am evil and going to hell. I want to be able to play Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft. I want to be able to watch whatever anime or adult content that I want to watch. I want to be able to go to my local card shop to play cards or Warhammer. I want to be able to read whatever comics that I want to read. I have been a nerd my entire life. I basically grew up in a card shop. Most of my childhood was spent at school, bowling for my school team, at the movie theater, playing collectible card games, trading card games, and playing Warhammer Fantasy. I am a nerd before I am anything else and will be for the rest of my life. But the religious zealots in all three of these Abrahamic faiths won't leave me the hell alone. But Judaism isn't trying to ban everything that I like. Well, Christianity is. Which is why I decided to start this series in the first place. Because I was originally going to hold my tongue. But I'm going to throw my hat in the ring when the world's three biggest religions are trying to bring about Armageddon and non-existent messiahs through chaos and destruction, which might bring about World War III and a draft. And if you think America's declining demographics problem is an issue now, then wait for somebody to push the draft through. The world has forced me to pick a side, and I choose the side that has no impact where I currently live, even if it has an impact elsewhere. I am sorry if you live in New York or New Jersey, but if you live in those states, then you should move. They are horrible places to live with, and they have a hell of a lot of high crime rates. I am also sorry that I like Jerry Seinfeld, Helen Hunt, and Paul Reiser. But it is what it is, and I am not going to stop liking them because a fool on the internet told me that I should dislike all the Jewish people. Your interests are not my interest. I grew up with Seinfeld and Mad About You. Despite supporting Israel's right to exist, I do have issues with Judaism. And I will be going over these issues in future videos. I am a rather reasonable person, but I don't dislike the Jewish people because I have issues with Judaism. That's a bit stupid. Just like I have issues with Christianity, but I don't dislike Christians. A lot of my friends and family are Christian. I support Israel because it's my tank. And what happens when the tank falls? the rest of the party falls. And as a pagan, I'm not part of the book. I get no protection under Islamic law. In fact, polytheists like me are at the top of the food chain. We aren't even considered human. The totem pole goes polytheist at the top, Jews below us, and then Christians at the very bottom. But the average pagan does not seem to understand the situation that we are in. So, if my choice is between radical Islam that wants my head, Crusader Christians that want my head, or Israel, I'm going with Israel. Especially since Israel didn't write a book about me last year, calling me evil and blaming me for all of America's problems. The Christians did, though, and countless Christians cheered that book on. Thanks for listening to part 2 of A Pagan Perspective on Israel. Have a fantastic day or night.